As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
There's no crying in baseball!
I ate his liver with some fava beans. A nice cliente.
That was totally wicked!
If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change!
And welcome back to another episode of Your Next Favorite Movie. I am your host, Josh G. And today I am joined by Cory Idle, host of the YouTube channel Kiss the Reviews. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what your show's about?
Well, Kiss the Reviews, we do an 80s and 90s movie review on YouTube. We basically take movies back when my co-host Armando and I were growing up and basically dissect them and see if they stand up to today's rigorous standards.
All right. Well, that's good because you don't have to worry about new release bogging your channel down. So
Exactly.
So that is helpful. All right. So I think you're taking us back to our first, what would be considered classic. And that is all the way back to 1942's Casablanca.
Casablanca, city of hope and despair, located in French Morocco in North Africa. The meeting place of adventurers, fugitives, criminals, refugees, lured into this danger-swept oasis by the hope of escape to the Americas. But they're all trapped, for there is no escape. Against this fascinating background is woven the story of an imperishable love and the enthralling saga of 6 desperate people, each in Casablanca to keep an appointment with destiny.
I was willing to shoot Captain Reno, and I'm willing to shoot you. All right, Major, you asked for it.
You knew how much I loved you. How much I still love you.
I know a good deal more about you than you suspect. I know, for instance, that you're in love with a woman. It's perhaps a strange circumstance that we both should love the same woman.
What do you want for Sam?
Don't buy and sell human beings.
That's too bad. That's Casablanca's leading commodity.
You can ask any price you want, but you must give me those letters.
That's all right.
I tried to reason with you. I tried it. Now I want those letters.
So when did you first see this film?
You know, I was talking with someone about that today. I think I first saw this when I was about 12 or 13. I remember I was studying World War II specifically in school at the time. And my parents, who very much were into movies, made sure that they sat me down and showed me this. And I was hooked immediately.
So how long do you think before it became your favorite film? Because I'm sure at 12, 13, it didn't jump to.
Oh, yeah, no. I didn't really appreciate all the nuances. Really, I think it became my favorite film right around the same time that Ocean's 11 came out, the remake with George Clooney and Brad Pitt and that whole gang, because that really kind of brought back the conversations about the Rat Pack. And before Sinatra, that was kind of Bogart's gig, was he would host those big Hollywood parties. And that, of course, just kind of had me revisit Casablanca being his biggest film. From there, it was just easy to fall back into the dialogue, the acting, this scenery, obviously the setting of World War II. It was just all fantastic.
Sets it up nicely. For anyone that hasn't seen the movie, why don't you just give a brief synopsis of what this movie is about?
Sure. Basically, an American in unoccupied Casablanca, the name of the movie, is very much trying to stay out of the events of World War II. He's not taking sides. He owns a small cafe. And out of nowhere, a jilted ex-lover comes back into his life and desperately needs his help.
All right. So, well, I don't like to give too many spoilers away on this, even though I know this movie's 79 years old.
Yeah, we're quickly approaching 100 for this guy.
Yeah, this is definitely a classic. But I also think for that reason, a lot of people probably haven't seen this, you know. So I don't like to give too many spoilers, although this part gets a little dicey. So if you were to go back into the 40s, which other than like monster movies, I don't really think sequels were made. But if you were to make a sequel back then, although this wraps it up pretty nicely as well, where do you think you would go? Or would you do like some in-between storyline telling maybe?
I think you would almost have to go with the relationship after the events of this film into the relationship between Rick and Chief Renault, who was played great by Claude Rains. I think the two of them and their relationship kind of sneakily trying to thwart the Nazi war machine in Africa would have been an interesting little storyline, almost pseudo spies, if you will.
I think you're right on that. All right. So I know you gave me an interesting list, so let's get into it.
Yes.
We're doing the remake of Casablanca. Who are we casting?
If I remember correctly, we're starting off with Humphrey Bogart. His character, Rick, I would replace with George Clooney. Again, I made that connection earlier, as I said.
When you brought
movie.
I was gonna say when you brought up Ocean's 11, I was like, see why he went where he went, at least with that one, at least. Okay.
Exactly. It's just sort of that birth of cool. I think Clooney represents that bygone era so well and so naturally that it would just fit. Plus, it would avoid us having to watch Midnight Sky again. So that would help.
Nice.
With Victor Laszlo, I would go with Javier Bardem. The character of Victor Laszlo was from Czechoslovakia in the film, so I thought having a foreign actor would obviously take it up a notch. And Javier Bardem has that kind of mystique and I think the range where you could believe that he was a freedom fighter.
Right. I agree. I like that choice when I saw it. So.
No, thank you. I have my moments. As far as Ilsa, I went with Charlize Theron for that role. Ingrid Bergman was just such a classic beauty on top of her ability to act. And immediately that just screams Charlize.
Yep.
She's just fantastic in anything she does, it seems like. For Captain Renault, I thought Paul Giamatti would be an interesting choice, just from the standpoint that Renault was such a slimy, kind of weaselly guy.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie, I won't give too much away, but he has a very hard time getting laid without help. Let me put it that way, without bending the game. So he's a dirty kind of guy. And I think Giamatti, when he puts his mind to it, can be just that.
Oh, I agree with that.
The other guy I had there, and I was really torn on, was Steve Buscemi. I thought Buscemi would also be able to play that role very well.
Oh, okay.
For the same reasons, basically. He can just play that kind of dirty bastard very well.
I guess just as long as he doesn't play it like he plays in an Adam Sandler movie. As long as he doesn't go with that Steve Buscemi, maybe.
You don't think Crazy Eyes would make an intriguing character?
I mean, intriguing, yes. In a serious film like this, I don't know if that's a good idea.
It would twist it up a little bit. I'll give you that. For Major Strasser, I feel like this one was such a cop-out, but it also seems so obvious. Christoph Waltz. I mean, quite frankly, if I have to play a Nazi, that's who I want in my movie every time. Thanks, Quentin, for ruining him. And, of course, for the piano-playing Sam, Rick's confidant, I went with John Legend.
I was going to say, this one actually seemed probably the most obvious for me personally.
Right.
Like, even without having to revisit, I remembered that character, and that's who I had in my mind. So, it seemed like an easy choice on that one.
If I went against gender roles, I would probably just change that to Alicia Keys. That'd be the only difference. Just a fantastic piano player is all you really need in that role.
True. And in today's modern times, that might be something they do, is do a little gender swap when they do a retelling.
And I would never be mad at looking at Alicia Keys.
No, definitely not. All right, so let's say people still aren't sold. You got to give one final pitch on why they should go back and revisit the classic. I mean, it is a classic, Casablanca.
The number one reason I would revisit this, if you haven't seen it in a while, is, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe Josh, the American Film Institute has this ranked consistent in their top 3. They'll switch between Godfather and Casablanca for 2 and 3, but it is always, always up there. So if you don't believe us, take it from the actual real professionals who have made a considerable amount of money doing this, that this is one of the greatest films ever made. And putting it in a period piece like World War II, it doesn't distract from anything else that may happen if you watch, like, let's say, I Know What You Did Last Summer, where it's very dated.
It stands the test of time, as I just recently rewatched it. So, and yes, I think that's where I first took notice, was when that very first AFI Top 100 list came out. And it was number 2 on that one, at least. I remember that. It was Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Godfather. Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember them.
And you can't argue with it. It's Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. You mix it up any way you want. I don't care.
There you go. Okay. I think that's going to wrap this one up. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you online?
Absolutely. You can check us out, Kiss the Reviews on YouTube. All you got to do is search Kiss the Reviews. And on Twitter, you can find me at Idle Poncho, PONCHO.
All right. And as always, you can follow the show at YNF Movie Pod. We are on Twitter and Instagram, available wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to check back next week, because we'll have a new guest and a different movie. And who knows, that may become your next favorite movie. You guys take care. I'll talk to you next time.